Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I wanted to chat with you guys today about some series that I haven't been able to finish yet. I know there are some series that you start and you love them so far, but you haven't had a chance to really get through them and finish them up. And I have a ton of series that are just like that. So I wanted to kind of dive into a few series that I really, really enjoyed, and I think that you guys should also read as well. But I haven't had a chance to quite finish yet, and I'll give you a little bit of premise about each of the series. So hopefully you can find something that you like, and we can both finish the series together and chat about it. So let's go. First series that I wanted to start with is probably the longest one that I've had sitting on my TBR to finish up. Is the Savage Land series by Stacey Marie Brown. I loved this series. It's got a very enemies to lovers, magic, romantasy, post-apocalyptic kind of vibe. The characters were great, the relationships were great, and I actually really liked the MMC and the FMC. I think I read up to the third book, so I'll put the latest book just here so you can kind of see where I left off. And I've really, really enjoyed this series. I don't know why I stopped reading it. I think the last book that I got to definitely had some slower parts. Sometimes the plot gets a little bit repetitive, but I really overall enjoyed this series, and it's one that stuck with me over the last little bit, and I really need to finish it. So it's definitely going to be one of the next ones that I hope to finish sometime this year. No commitments as to when because I am such a mood reader, but this was a series that I ended up reading with one of my friends, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope that I can get back there soon. But if you're looking for some more romantasy, definitely a lot of magic, the relationship, the spice was really great, and it felt very like post-apocalyptic kind of vibe, then you can definitely take a look at this one and see if it's something that you're interested in. The next one is going to be a little bit of a surprise, I think, to some of you, but I haven't finished the Crescent City books. So I left off with Crescent City 3. I like the books, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Crescent City fan. I just found that the third book, I had read so much and I was looking for so many things in the third book. And when I got to about 50% of the way through, I just wasn't feeling it. And I don't know actually if I'm ever going to return to this. I probably will when the fourth one comes out, or the next one in the series. I actually don't know where the third one left off. So this is not to be a spoiler review in any way. I don't know where the series is going, but if there is going to be a next one in the series, then I'll definitely take a look at that one and read it, especially because the hype is going to be so high within like Book Talk and Bookstagram that I want to be included, or else I'm going to get FOMO. But this series was really good, the first two books, and I don't know why I just found it dragging in the third book, and that's why I didn't finish it. I even tried to read it on audio kind of while I was working and doing other things, and it just didn't hold my attention. So may come back to this one. My friends are telling me to continue reading the book, but I don't know, I might pick it up if I find that I'm in a fantasy mood, but not something that I'm super interested in finishing right now. So have not read the end of this one. The next one is going to be the Priest, Sinner, Saint series by Sierra Simone. I read Priest and I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of those books that sticks in my brain. It's got a lot of really great kind of religious aspects to it, of course, but it keeps it spicy, keeps it taboo. I really like the FMC in there and kind of how she owned her sexuality. And I love the whole like will he, won't he kind of debate, religious debate that the priest was in. So I really enjoyed that book. I found it really taboo and really spicy. I had a lot of fun with it. I haven't continued reading the series, and I really do because I'm interested in reading the other two books. I don't know why I just haven't picked them up, but when I read the first book, it very much felt like its own, and I think that they're brothers through the series, so there's definitely some interconnected standalones. You might meet some of the other characters, but for some reason this series just really didn't grab my attention to continue the next books. But it doesn't feel like one that I need to finish for the series in order to enjoy it. I enjoyed the first book as a standalone, really liked it, but I'll probably wait to continue the other two and kind of pick them up as I feel the need to get some hit of some more Sierra Simone. So if you have a reason why I should put them higher up on my TBR, I'm definitely open to hearing it. I just haven't got to it yet. Next one is going to be the Zodiac Academy. So these books are chonkers. They're very, very large books. And I really enjoyed the story. I read them on my Kindle, and then when I ended up picking them up as physical copies, I was like, how the heck did I read through all of these pages? Because they are absolutely massive, and the story just flies by. But I really feel like this series is set for pain. So there's a lot of great fantasy aspect. The world is really great. I liked the characters. The first book, it definitely starts as a bully romance. So if that's not something that you've ever read before or you're interested in, you might want to take a step and look at this book in a little bit more detail. But I really enjoyed the series. I think I got up to book 5, starting on to book 6. I know that there's 8 or 9 in the series, and the last one is a really, really thick book. Definitely a lot of pages in there. By the time I got to like the 6th book, not spoiling anything by any means, I just kind of felt like I was being tortured. And that might be the intention and that might not be the intention. But I was definitely going through a lot of pain. And although like I kept coming back to it, there's definitely like some like addictive quality of this book that it's like you just can't put it down. I was kind of done with having the pain and the trauma of some of the scenes in these books, in a good way. But it's definitely one of those things that I needed to take a break, put it down. I'm definitely going to come back to it because I do want to see the series completed, especially because I've read so much of them already. But it's just definitely been one of them that I've put on pause for a little bit, take a little break. We'll come back to the heartbreak and the trauma later on. But I definitely want to continue finishing up this series. And if you've read Zodiac Academy, I'm sure you understand the vibes that I'm kind of talking about, but this is one that I will return to. Next one is going to be the Devil's Night series by Pendug. I read the first book, Corrupt, in that series, and I really enjoyed it. I actually did like a little reel of my experience without any spoilers at all on my Bookstagram, but I had a lot of fun reading it. There were definitely some scenes that I was like giggling, kicking my heels together about. I really enjoyed the characters. I actually can't wait to see more of the characters as you go along because I believe they all get their own books, or most of them get their own books. And I'm excited to see the relationship. And there's, you know, a couple characters in particular that I feel like are going to have a pretty good turnaround. So I'm excited to see where their story goes. I don't know why. I just picked up the first book, read it, and then I never continued with the rest of the series. Something else must have grabbed my attention that took priority, or like another major release or something. But I was late to the game reading it, and I'm definitely excited to continue the series. And maybe I'll do a little reading vlog or something as we go along because I really want to read the rest of them. I have some special editions as well that I need to know if I would like to keep or on haul, but so far the series has been absolutely awesome and I really enjoyed it. So I will probably continue. It is darker on the romance scale, so definitely something to keep in mind if you wanted to read this series. I do read a lot of dark romance, so I definitely think this is maybe on the mid to lighter scale of dark romance. There are some scenes on there that are definitely on the darker side, so make sure you definitely check that out. But I've liked a lot of Penelope Douglas's books, and I know that sometimes that's not always everybody's cup of tea, but I've enjoyed them so far, and I've really liked this series, so I will definitely continue this one. It just kind of fell off my radar for now, but I know a lot of people rave about it. The next one is going to be Darkverse series by Runex. I have read, I think, the first 3 or 4 of these books. I think I only have 2 left. And I really enjoyed the series so far. This one kind of, again, on the darker romance scale, definitely follows more like a mafia kind of vibe. It has a lot of dark themes in the books. There are a lot of twists and turns, mysteries, what's going to happen next kind of vibe. And I've really enjoyed this one so far. The MMCs are definitely broken. The relationships are definitely something that, you know, they have to work on. They're not the easiest men to love. There's definitely a lot of past and a lot of story, a lot of plot that kind of goes into how these MMCs came to be. And I've really enjoyed that about the series. There's a lot of overarching plot between them. So if you are going to be starting this series out, I highly recommend you start with the first one and continue to read on as you go along, because it'll give you the best reading experience. But I will definitely be continuing it and finishing up. Something, again, must have just caught my attention and I didn't continue through it. But each one does, for the most part, follow their own characters. I believe the first 2 are a duet, so you definitely want to read those 2 back to back. But as you get into the 3rd and I believe the 4th and 5th ones, although it is an overarching storyline between all of them, you do have to read them in order, in my opinion. But if I stop the 2nd book or the 3rd book or the 5th book, it's really not going to make much of a difference. I can pick it up where we left off because the plot will be continuing, but it won't be like a huge, you know, overarching character story that's going to continue in there. It is a new MMC that's going to be in there and a new relationship. I love all of Runex's books. I think they're absolutely wonderful. An author to definitely check out if you haven't read these ones. Gothicana is also a great one to start out with, which I did mention in some of my other series. So go ahead and check that one out, or check out this Darkverse series. Both you're going to be in great hands, and I can't wait to continue finishing them. Another one that I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't finished yet, because I read this series back to back to back to back, is the Legacy of God series by Rena Kent. Rena Kent is one of my ride or die. I absolutely love her books, and the Legacy of God is great. I think after I finished God of Fury, it left me in a little bit of a slump because that book is so good. It is an romance. It is, I think, the 5th one in the series. So you don't have to read them in order, but I highly recommend you start with the first one, which is God of Malice, and you continue on. Each book is about a different couple, but they do have an overarching storyline, and you do see a lot of mention in the other characters in your book. So highly recommend that you take a look at starting something like this at the first book versus coming in kind of at the end. But I haven't read God of War yet, and that is the last one in the series. I know that this series does have some tropes that aren't always high on the folks' list for things that they enjoy in reading. It does have an amnesia trope in there and a marriage of convenience, which I quite enjoy. I haven't read very many amnesia trope books, but the ones that I have read, I do like. So I think this is going to be high up there on the list. And I can't wait to see these characters get their story because they were mentioned in the previous books. And I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for them to finally get together into this book. So if you want to start this series, highly recommend you start with the first one, God of Malice, and then move over into the next books. But I do need to continue finishing it. I probably don't want to see it end, and that's honestly why I haven't got to God of War yet. But I'm really excited to finish this story and to see how the conclusion is going to be to the end of the series, and then move into the next series that she's going to be coming out very, very soon this year. So take a look at that one. Start with God of Malice. Check your trigger warnings. The series is very, very dark. The next series that I need to finish up is the Pucking Wrong series by C.R. Jane. These books are so good, and I realize a majority of the books on this list are dark romance, and that's not my intention. I read a good mix of a lot of different romance genres, but this one is a dark romance as well. These boys are so obsessed. They are like stalkery, they are head over heels, they're like tampering with the birth control, kind of obsessed. They absolutely love their ladies, and it's like the best thing in my opinion to read. That's kind of one of my favorite tropes, is like so deeply obsessed that they're like outrageously crazy. Like you would want a restraining order from these guys in real life, but in a book, I don't know why, it just works. But the Pucking Wrong series, I think I've read the first 3 books. I do need to finish up with the last one, as well as the holiday novella. I don't know why I haven't done this book recently, and I need to do it because it's definitely one of my like favorite rated series, especially dark romance series. There's just something about these guys that I just like gobble up these books. You don't have to read them in order, but I highly recommend that you start with the first one just because the experience is so good, and you do see the relationship between the guys because they are on a hockey team together. You see the relationship grow and their buddies, and the way that they like kind of feed off of each other by being unhinged is just hilarious. So highly recommend that you start with the first one just so you get the best experience, but you can start anywhere in the series, and I do have to read the last one as well as the holiday novella. So definitely something that's going to be on my TBR and my list coming up soon. I almost don't want the series to end, but she does have another series, The Wong Quarterback, that already came out, and there is a book 2 coming out in that series as well very shortly, if not already out. So I want to go and definitely check that one out. I highly recommend that you check out the series if you like a dark romance, and again, check those trigger warnings. And the last one that I wanted to chat about, and these are series that kind of are top of mind for me, is going to be the Lily Mayne series, the Monstrous series. I love these books. If you're looking for a really great monster series, Lily Mayne is your girl. Chatting about the Monstrous series, these books are fantastic on audio, so if you're an audio lover, definitely go check these ones out. But I have read the first 4 books of this series, and I have eaten it up. Post-apocalyptic, each one follows a monster as well as their human. And the book premise is on this rift that's opened up, and all these monsters have now been brought down to Earth, and the world is kind of in chaos, and again in that post-apocalyptic kind of society. So each one, you know, is a little bit afraid of monsters. Monsters really aren't understood, and they all have this kind of beautiful relationship. And I really, really enjoy this series, and I think that it's absolutely wonderful. They are heart-wrenching. They have the best storylines. They have the sweet, romantic kind of love that's really gorgeous to see. I highly recommend you start at the first one because I love the first one by far the most out of all of them. Not that I could ever choose one, but if you want to start with the first one, you do see that couple across multiple of the novels, as well as you see some of the other characters that are in there kind of overarching, and they all follow the same world with different couples. So yeah, if you were looking for a really good book, these ones are great. This has been the series that I need to finish up. There's a lot on my TBR. I am a mood reader, so it's difficult for me to be able to start and finish something. But these are definitely series that I recommend. I have loved from the get-go, and I definitely will continue reading them, but it's just a matter of getting that TBR down. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for chatting with me today. Hopefully you found some really great book recs, and thank you so much for the visit, and have a great day. Bye!